I'm Greg Harrison. I'm 28 years old and a computer engineer living in New York, USA. I have a wonderful wife and a daughter I adore. Today, I want to share the heartfelt but painful side of my life. My parents had me at a young age, almost like children themselves. Their lives were chaotic, their jobs unstable, and their financial situation constantly in turmoil. They were too busy trying to survive rather than raise me, so I spent most of my childhood with my grandparents. They were the only people who truly loved and valued me. The small back room in their house was the only place I ever considered home. As a child, I always thought, if I try hard enough, if I become good enough, maybe one day my parents will love me. I clung to that thought so tightly that my entire childhood revolved around success. I excelled in school, worked hard in sports, stayed quiet, obedient, and never burdened anyone, because deep down, I hoped that would finally earn their attention. Then, Jane was born. My sister. The first time they held her, I saw an expression on their faces that I had never seen before. Pure love. I will never forget that moment, because no matter what I had done up to that point, I had never once seen them smile at me like that. As Jane grew, things became even clearer. No matter what she did, she was praised. If she got bad grades, it was the system's fault. If she lied about a teacher, they believed her. She wrecked 3 cars and a new one appeared instantly. Meanwhile, I worked part-time jobs, saved every penny just to continue school. One day, I couldn't afford the fee to play on the school football team. Later, I found out my grandmother had secretly paid it, because my mother had spent the money on Jane's private lessons instead. Whenever I came home with success, my parents would always turn to Jane. That's when I realized, no matter what I did, it would never be enough. Still, I kept pushing forward. At 16, I started working. I went to college, then university, covering all my expenses myself. I achieved one success after another, yet every time, a voice inside me repeated, "To them, you're still just Greg, the unnecessary child." Jane's life was always in the spotlight. She was the star of the show, while I was just the kid cleaning up behind the scenes. Compared to the support she received, my life felt like nothing more than a battle for survival. And so, I grew up in that battle, growing quieter, withdrawing further into myself each day. But somewhere deep inside, there was still a spark. One day, this balance will shift. And now, I will tell you how that day arrived and how it changed everything. If you enjoy stories like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. What would you have done? If you grew up in a home where your family ignored you while lifting your sibling onto a pedestal, what would you do? Share your thoughts in the comments. You might say what I never could. When I graduated from university, for the first time in my life, I truly thought, I'm free. I was standing on my own 2 feet. After all the struggles of my childhood, I was finally earning my own money, building my own life. And the best part? I had met Sarah. Sarah was hardworking, intelligent, and grounded. She had graduated in chemical engineering. When I met her, she showed me that a completely different life was possible. In many ways, we grew together. We rented a small apartment, started from scratch, and built a world just for the 2 of us. No matter how chaotic the outside world was, our home was peaceful. But that peace didn't last long. The same parents who had ignored me all my life suddenly started messaging me constantly, always claiming there was an urgent situation and asking for money. First, it was $200, then $500. Once, they even asked for $2,000. Their reasoning was always the same. Family helps family during hard times. And what did I do? I gave. Because deep inside, that same little boy still existed. The one who thought, maybe this time they'll appreciate me. The quiet child, still trying to prove himself. But Sarah saw through all of it. At first, she stayed silent. "They're your family," she said. But when a few $100s started disappearing every month, her expression changed. One evening, while washing dishes and staring at our growing credit card debt, she turned to me and said, "Greg, I'm not married to your family. I'm married to you. But if you keep running our marriage for their benefit, I don't see a future here." That shook me to my core, because she was right. Every month, while planning a future with Sarah, I was secretly dragging ghosts from my past into our home. And you know what hurt the most? Most of the money was for Jane. My mother bought her a new computer. She needs it for school. Jane wasn't even attending school. My father said her car needed repairs. Then I saw Jane driving a brand new car, her third one. Meanwhile, I was waking up at 6 a.m. to catch the bus to work. Then came the breaking point. Sarah found a $2,200 charge on our credit card statement. I couldn't lie anymore. I had to tell the truth. She looked at me for a long time and then simply said, "You either belong to them or to me and the family we're building. There is no middle ground, Greg." That night, something inside me changed. I wasn't just hurt anymore. I was exhausted. I was tired of spending my life trying to prove myself to people who would never see me. Maybe this sounds simple to you, but for the first time in my life, someone genuinely cared about me. And I wasn't going to lose that person. A decision began to take shape inside me, silent, firm, and irreversible. But before I acted on that decision, I decided to give them a test. I would remind them of what they had told me for years. Family helps family during hard times. Let's see what they would do. By the way, if you like my story, subscribe to the channel, because the real revenge is just getting started. And what about you? If your family constantly drained you, yet never appreciated you, how long would you endure it? Share your thoughts in the comments. You might say what I never could. It was a Saturday morning when Sarah came to me with a small test strip in her hand. Her eyes were filled with tears, but this time, not from sadness, but joy. "You're going to be a father, Greg," she said. In that moment, something inside me changed. Hearing someone call me Dad for the first time awakened a profound sense of responsibility. From now on, I had to live not just for myself, but for my unborn child and for Sarah. That same evening, we sat down and reevaluated our lives. We were a family now, and this family needed stability, peace, and security. But in that moment, I made another silent decision within myself. I must start living for my own family. I have to let go of the burdens from my past. This was the first time I took a firm stance against my past. That night, Sarah turned to me and said, "Greg, if we're going to have a child, you need to be clear. Either you keep carrying your family on your back, or you build your own. But you can't do both." Her words stung, but they were true. At that moment, I understood. My family was now Sarah and our baby. And I realized something else. For years, the people who told me, "Family always helps each other," had only been taking from me. It was time to put their words to the test. So, I made a plan. Cold, calculated, and irreversible. If I were truly in a difficult situation, would they help me? This time, the roles would be reversed. We sped up our search for a home. We found a suitable place, affordable and perfect for raising a child. Agreements were finalized. The contract was signed. Then, I called my mother. "I lost my job," I said. "Sarah and I might be homeless soon. We need $5,000 or we'll lose everything." Immediately, the old responses came. "You're an adult now, Greg. You have to stand on your own 2 feet. Everyone has to take responsibility for themselves." Ah, how familiar those voices sounded. I hung up, expecting to feel pain. But what I actually felt wasn't anger. It wasn't sadness either. It was just emptiness. At that moment, I thought to myself, this was their test, and they failed. In the following days, I called a few more times. I lowered the amount. Would $2,000 work? Then, even $500 would help. Every time, the answers remained the same, and sometimes, no response at all. Meanwhile, our moving day was approaching. We were about to move into our own home. Yes, I hadn't actually lost my job. Everything was fine. But their reaction told me more than anything else ever could. As the moving day neared, I sent them one final message. If you can't help, I will lose everything. Please, just say something. But there was silence. And in that moment, my decision became final. This was the end. For years, they only remembered me when they needed something. Now, I said I needed help, and they disappeared. So I would become invisible to them too, but not quietly, cold, strategic, and step by step. As this story nears its conclusion, subscribe to the channel, because the real revenge is just beginning. And what about you? Would you give your family one last chance? Share your thoughts in the comments. Perhaps some of us carry the burden of conscience too heavily. When moving day arrived, Sarah and I were up early and ready. A few close friends came to help. We carried boxes, set up furniture. The moment I stepped into our new home, I felt a slight tremble inside. Because this wasn't just a fresh start. It was a complete release from an old burden. That day, something else happened. No one from my family called. No messages, no offers to help, no, "How are you, son?" Nothing. And for the first time, I felt peace, because they were no longer there. Once we settled in, I started living a life that was truly my own. Sarah and I prepared the nursery, went to doctor's appointments together. My focus was now solely on my own family. The weight of the past felt like it had been packed into a suitcase and locked away forever. 2 months passed. One morning, I got a message. The number was familiar, my mother. It said only one thing. "Greg, someone else is living in your home. What's going on?" When I saw that message, a storm raged inside me. The people who had never valued me, never supported me, were now watching my life from a distance. My response was brief and direct. "I'm showing you exactly what you showed me." I can't quite describe the feeling of that moment. It wasn't pain, and it wasn't triumph. It was more like a cleansing. Years of buried resentment faded with that single reply. The next day, another message arrived, this time from my father. "Did you really think you could cut us off this easily?" I sent back only one sentence. "I hope Jane gives you the same support I did." After that, they never called again. Not for the birth, not for the wedding, not even for the move. And I never felt their absence. Because the missing piece wasn't them, it was me. The child who had spent years trying to earn their love. But that child had grown up, and he learned. Sometimes the greatest revenge is simply leaving quietly. I share this story because many people fight silent battles. Maybe you've spent years trying to prove yourself to someone. Maybe you grew up in a home where the love you deserved was always given to someone else. But know this, once you build a life of your own, the past can no longer hold you back. If you've subscribed, this is where the story ends. But drop a comment. If this were you, how would you say goodbye? Or would you give them one last chance?